Hello, I'm Tom Williams from the Fort Huachuca Public Affairs Office, and this is your Fort Report.
Here's a look back at the year in review. Soldiers from 1st Brigade Military Intelligence, 100th Training Division, part of the U.S. Army Reserve, marked their move to Arizona and joining the Fort Huachuca team with a ceremony at the unit's new home on Cushing Street. The move is part of a larger plan to align reserve schoolhouses to respective component active duty centers of excellence.
The real benefit of locating reserve component training here is that all the soldiers 1st Brigade trains, both MOS qualification and in NCOES courses, become true members of the MI Corps by training here at Fort Huachuca, the beautiful and historic home of military intelligence. It is a visit to the MI and Post museums, using the Christopher Nason MI Library, and walking across old posts that truly creates the common experience shared by all MI soldiers. As 1st Brigade Commander, I know that the officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers of the brigade, both instructors and staff, are extremely proud to be conducting all of our instruction at the U.S. Army Intelligence Center of Excellence as members of the Fort Huachuca family and continuing to build the future of the MI Corps.
I think this is emblematic of the larger reserve component as we've transitioned to a more operational force. I am kind of a hybrid ACRC guy, and I will tell you my observation, there's been extreme culture change, and there's not a whole lot of us and them anymore. I think folks are quite enlightened because they recognize our name tapes all say U.S. Army, and we're all pulling on the rope as we endeavor to win in a complex world.
And then, the ribbon signifying the completion of the move was cut.
Institutional training is the best method to ensure we maintain equivalency between the branches. 1st to 100th is absolutely critical in maintaining the readiness of the MI soldiers in the reserve component. With their move to Fort Huachuca, we have become the first center of excellence in TRADOC to purposely co-locate USR and AC schools. At Fort Huachuca, we're excited about the opportunity to move and work more closely with our reserve brothers and sisters. So again, let me close by offering a warm welcome to old friends as you join us here at Fort Huachuca. Always out front, Army strong.
The 1st Brigade Military Intelligence, 100th Training Division, serves as the Army Reserve's trainer for military intelligence soldiers. The move brings 118 military and civilian jobs to Fort Huachuca. A group of about 250 soldiers from the 40th Expeditionary Signal Battalion returned to Fort Huachuca after a deployment to Southwest Asia. The returning soldiers arrived at the west ramp of Libby Army Airfield. After turning in weapons and equipment, the soldiers were escorted by military police and motorcyclists to Barnes Field House, where family and friends anxiously awaited the soldiers' return. Fort Huachuca hosted a ribbon-cutting ceremony marking the completion of a new solar array, part of the post's renewable energy project. The array is near the Thunder Mountain Activity Center and the main gate. The project is currently the largest of its kind in the Department of Defense. A host of community and national leaders addressed the gathering.
This field, empty just months ago, now houses over 57,000 solar panels that you see behind me that will provide renewable energy for Fort Huachuca for decades to come. The result is not only cheaper energy, it is a cleaner environment for our kids and for our grandkids.
And what we're doing is we're modeling the success of this program and applying lessons learned here for many other renewable energy projects on other bases around the United States.
This project was developed by EON, an industry leader, and our partner on several other projects. And we know we can count on top quality construction from these folks. And since it's owned and operated by Tucson Electric Power, we know it will provide reliable power to our grid for a very, very long time, decades even.
Today is a celebration for all of us, and the Huachuca team made it look so easy. I had no doubt that you would bring this project home. Teaming with the private sector is really nothing new for the Army. After all, we've been partnering with industry for nearly 240 years. The difference is, instead of making tanks and bullets, our industry partners are producing clean, secure, and affordable renewable energy.
The Fort Huachuca Renewable Energy Project is a joint effort between the U.S. Army Energy Initiative Task Force, Fort Huachuca, the General Services Administration, Tucson Electric Power, and developer Eon Climate and Renewables. Officials then cut the ribbon to officially mark the beginning of power generation. The commander of the Fort Huachuca garrison then made comments at a roundtable.
We talk about win-win situation. So really, it's a great compilation of a tremendous amount of work in the last 18 months, obviously on one central theme, but really both the Army's commitment in southern Arizona, but the Army's commitment to the country, and to work with our partners, and TEP, GSA, and the like have been phenomenal, as we've had the same partnership across the state on our water conservation.
A utility official said that a second phase of construction is planned. When the project is completed, the solar array is expected to provide about 25% of Fort Huachuca's annual electricity requirement. Fort Huachuca has been home to many types of military units over the years, from Buffalo soldiers to service members who operate unmanned aerial systems. One thing all those soldiers had in common was to practice firing weapons, and sometimes during that practice, a round didn't explode.
You know, if you think the history of Fort Huachuca clear back to 1877, we've ran hundreds of thousands of soldiers through this installation for training. So again, the potential for unexploded ordnance exists just about anywhere on the post because records are not available that far back.
Right now, because controlled burns of thin vegetation and during summer monsoon rains is when the potential to find unexploded ordnance is most likely.
All of our live fire ranges are located along Garden Canyon Road, and so they shoot back into the mountains, and so the surface danger zones extend to the west off of Garden Canyon Road. So that's where you find the largest concentration, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't find it anywhere else. We've had hunters, horseback riders, bird watchers stumble across it.
If you're recreating on Fort Huachuca and come across unexploded ordnance, there are some things you can do to keep yourself and others safe.
Recognize what you're looking at. You need to retreat so you're not in danger. We always also recommend that you mark it some way so that you can find it again, maybe GPS coordinates, or tie some flagging to a bush or a tree nearby it. Because that's part of the problem is people see it, they go report it, and then they can't find it again. So it's a good idea to mark it some way and then retreat out of the area and then report to range control or the MPs, and we'll come take a look at it.
To report unexploded ordnance during duty hours, call range control at 533-7093. After duty hours, contact the military police desk at 533-3000. In other news, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so the Fort Huachuca Sexual Harassment Assault Response and Prevention, or SHARP office, is highlighting the We Care application for smartphones and tablets. The application gives people instant access to information about resources to help those who have been a victim or witnessed a sexual assault.
The app has many resources listed to include the chaplain, the family advocacy program, behavioral health, and other things that are specific to Fort Huachuca and the Sierra Vista area. So if anyone needs assistance, the phone numbers are located within the app of who to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if they become or someone they know becomes a victim of sexual harassment or sexual assault.
To download the We Care app for your device, go to the iTunes Store or Google Play and type in We Care Fort Huachuca. And finally, Garden Canyon Road west of Site Papa is closed due to construction. Heavy equipment is being staged at the lower Garden Canyon picnic area, so work can be done to restore the road up the canyon that was washed out during heavy rains last year. Students at Colonel Smith Middle School are working on a project that gives them a front row seat to a NASA twin medical study. Scott Kelly, an astronaut, is currently serving a one-year tour at the International Space Station. His identical twin, Mark Kelly, is on Earth and a retired American astronaut. NASA is medically comparing the twins. The Earthbound Kelly recently video conferenced with the Fort Huachuca students.
How do you feel about being the first human control subject in the history of space exploration?
Well, I don't think I'm the first human control subject. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I am. Did you guys find that out somewhere?
Yes.
You did? All right, well, I haven't really thought about it. You know, when NASA asked me to do this, I didn't even have to think about it. I feel very fortunate for having had the opportunity to fly into space 4 times, to command the space shuttle on 2 occasions. When they said, hey, we want to do a bunch of science, I'd be going like, sure, sign me up. Tell me where I need to be and what I need to do. But I didn't think about it as me being the first human control subject. About that, I didn't know. Nobody told me.
One of the goals of the mission is to study and gain an understanding of how the human body reacts and adapts to the harsh environment of space.
The amount of work in science up here we can get done in all different areas of all different kinds of disciplines, you know, whether it's exploration or experiments that improve life on Earth is, you know, very important to our people and in the U.S. and the international community as a whole, and hopefully, you know, the current crews and previous crews and future crews, and not just Misha and myself, will be furthering our goals to put humans on Mars someday.
Interacting with the retired astronaut while working on the project has laser-focused the students.
I've seen the excitement level go sky high, the motivation of the kids to work on this project. They've done a lot of research on the history of spaceflight. They've done research about Mark Kelly himself, and knowing that we were going to make this contact, and we've had letters from him already, so the motivation is really high for everybody to do their best work because they want to show it to him.
I'm almost speechless, actually, that we're actually doing this project. Interacting with NASA is great.
I really like being able to talk to them about it and get personal, or like one-on-one, like we were able to today.
It is really amazing for me to see a real astronaut because I've never met one in my life, and it's pretty, like they said, it would probably once in a lifetime thing to face on see an astronaut. I thought it was really cool.
The staff at Colonel Smith Middle School are supercharging and firing imaginations to help ensure a bright future for students. The Fort Huachuca Staff Judge Advocate Office celebrated Law Day by making a presentation at the Post's elementary schools. Lawyers traditionally reach out to educate students during Law Day to reflect on the role of law in the foundation of the country.
Today was just trying to show that the importance of the rule of law and why we're very fortunate to have it and how it's a constantly evolving process. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get through to 5th graders, but they were a great class and I think that they really understood it.
This year's Law Day theme marks the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta.
Even now there's still Supreme Court cases that cite the principles of Magna Carta, and I think it's important to think about the freedoms we'll enjoy for another 800 years, how it takes every generation needs to relearn freedom.
President Eisenhower first proclaimed Law Day in 1958, and the day was later codified into law in 1961. In other news, B Troop, 4th U.S. Cavalry Regiment Memorial, Fort Huachuca's Mounted Ceremonial Unit, celebrated the completion of their newly constructed horse barn at a ribbon cutting in the Buffalo Corral area.
They don't know it yet, but their dream house is here and ready for their arrival. As we bring the boys into their new home today, please reflect on how this barn improves their lives. For those of us who are troopers and ladies, this building is more about symbolism. This barn means our horses will be safer and happier, but it also means our troop is in great shape. We've got great things going on down here, and this new barn is the largest symbol of that fact.
A ribbon was then cut, marking the opening of the new facility.
With this cavalry saber, I open the new home, 4th U.S. Cavalry Memorial B Troop.
The new occupants were then led to their new home. B Troop members are looking forward to utilizing the new facility.
So we're really proud of it.
we're happy that the garrison and Fort Huachuca are able to get behind us. Since 1973, it's been a long road.
B Troop's mission is to promote the heritage and traditions of the Army in the Southwest United States. The U.S. Army Intelligence Center of Excellence began the final day of military intelligence, also known as MI, Hall of Fame activities with a change of command of the 305th MI Battalion on Chaffee Parade Field on Fort Huachuca. Outgoing Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Adam Boyd, passed the battalion colors to the commander of the 111th Military Intelligence Brigade, Colonel Kevin Wilkinson, who then passed the colors to the incoming commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jorge Arredondo. Colonel Wilkinson reflected on Colonel Boyd's time as the 305th's commander.
Under your command, you developed a command climate focused on fitness, discipline, and trust. You led by actions and not words. You were the type of leader that always looked for solutions and spent little time dwelling on the problem. You empowered your subordinates and provided them the opportunity to grow. While doing so, you provided them sound advice and counsel, something you regularly provided to me as well.
He then greeted the incoming commander.
Jorge, welcome aboard. Your background and experience will be invaluable to the brigade and the 305th. As you and Betty get settled, I know your forward leadership and local community will make you feel welcome and back at home. Take the time to review how business is done and then make the necessary adjustments to continue to move the organization forward.
The outgoing commander addressed the gathering.
The soldiers, civilians, and contractors of the instructor cadre, thank you for your dedication in imparting intelligence skills to these young soldiers. You provide them with the tools they need to succeed in this challenging profession. The platoon sergeants, thank you. You're there when the soldiers wake up, you're there when they go to bed, you instill discipline, and the soldiers are better for it.
And the incoming commander made remarks.
Major General Ashley, Colonel Wilkinson, thank you for the incredible privilege and awesome responsibility to command this national treasure. Lieutenant Colonel Boyd, Kristen, thank you for the exceptional handoff and for your superb leadership of the unit over the past few years.
Later that day, 8 people who made exceptional contributions to MI were inducted into the MI Corps Hall of Fame at a ceremony in Fitch Auditorium.
This year's inductees represent military intelligence stretching from World War II, Vietnam, Central America, and the wars in the Middle East. With over 230 years of combined service, the leaders you will learn about today have proven their loyalty in the defense of our nation, and they've served the Army in times of peace and times of war. They set an example for others to follow, and they've left a legacy that has impacted generations.
And then the new members were inducted.
Commissioned as a second lieutenant through the Auburn University ROTC program in 1974, Lieutenant General Burgess began his career in a series of company-grade assignments of increasing responsibility in armor and military intelligence units in Germany and at Fort Stewart, Georgia.
249 MI leaders have been inducted into the Hall of Fame over the past 28 years. The activities then continued with the formal opening of the MI Soldier Learning Center.
It is really for the intel soldier to come here and learn about their history and to learn about their history from other intel soldiers, as opposed to, you always find yourself in senior leadership. Well, this is really for the young soldiers, and when you notice when the door opens, you get the wall. The wall from divided Germany, which is kind of a hook for them to come in and go, I think I recognize that. Let me come in and see what's there.
A ribbon was then cut to open the facility. The MI Heritage Learning Center is located in the heart of the U.S. Army Intelligence Center of Excellence complex on Hatfield Street. The MI activities continued with a luncheon and ceremony at the Thunder Mountain Activity Center. The guest speaker brought news from the Pentagon.
Colonel Ashley has been nominated for promotion to Lieutenant General and to be the next G2 of the Army.
Captain George Fust was then presented with the Lieutenant General Sidney T. Weinstein Award for Excellence in MI. Sergeant Tyler Benjamin was also presented with the Command Sergeant Major Doug Russell Award. Then, a building in Weinstein Village was dedicated in honor of Specialist Brittany B. Gordon. The intelligence analyst died near Kandahar, Afghanistan, when enemy forces attacked her unit with an improvised explosive device.
When we remember Brittany, we are reminded of the values and ideals of duty, honor, country. Ideals that she embodied throughout her life, and commemorate this building to her name as a permanent reminder to each soldier that will pass through these doors and follow in her footsteps.
Specialist Gordon was serving with the 572nd Military Intelligence Company, part of the 2nd Infantry Division. Command of the United States Army Intelligence Center of Excellence and Fort Huachuca changed at a ceremony on Brown Parade Field. Outgoing Commander, Major General Robert Ashley, passed the military intelligence colors to Lieutenant General Kevin Mangum, the Deputy Commanding General and Chief of Staff of the Training and Doctrine Command, who then passed the colors to the incoming Commanding General, Major General Scott Barrier. General Mangum then spoke about General Ashley's time in command.
Over the last 27 months, Bob has truly set the standard for Center of Excellence commanders as he enhanced training for all military intelligence soldiers and leaders and led modernization of intelligence capability throughout our Army, filling critical gaps in this vital warfighting function. Bob's drive and leadership are reflected in the improvements he brought to leader development and education, the innovative concepts for MI organizations and structure, and his personal involvement in rewriting MI doctrine.
He then welcomed the incoming Commanding General.
Scott is a proven leader who has excelled in peace and war and who has successfully led soldiers at every level. While new to the Intelligence Center in Fort Huachuca, other than being a student, Scott is no stranger to the critical role intelligence plays in our Army and for the Joint Force. He's done all the hard jobs we ask for our intelligence warriors and has obviously done them all very, very well.
The outgoing Commanding General made remarks.
For all the amazing professionals that are part of this team, from the garrison to all the various commands, all our teammates, thanks for making us part of your family. It is an understatement to say that we live in uncertain times. And those uncertain times are not going to change. The uncertainty that we see in the world right now is going to last well into the next decade. And what's at stake is our national freedom. And the men and women on this field, what they do every day is they help secure that. And I thank you for what you do.
And the incoming Commanding General addressed the gathering.
Team Huachuca has grown and expanded to masterfully meet the Army's needs during a long period of conflict. We stand ready with all of you to help write the next chapter of this historic post-future contributions to the Department of the Army and the DoD.
And the service members passed in review. And B Troop, 4th U.S. Cavalry Memorial, wrapped up the ceremony with a pistol charge across the parade field. On the first day of some major policy changes to access to Fort Huachuca, traffic was flowing smoothly. And in one of the biggest changes for those people 18 years and older wanting to enter post but have no Department of Defense ID card, well, they'll have to stop and get an installation access badge.
We've implemented Presidential Directive 12 and Army Directive 2014-05. It mandates NCIC, or National Crime Information, background checks on all non-DoD ID card holders entering Fort Huachuca.
The only place the access badge can be issued is at the Van Diemen Gate, or former East Gate, the new 24/7 gate that has a facility to issue badges.
Stop in the new parking lots that we have, walk into the Visitor Control Center with an identification card, fill out a simple form, provide some personal information. They then will vet you and do a background check. Upon completion of a good background check, they will take your photo and issue you a badge.
Yeah, it's a pretty smooth operation. We started vetting people 90 days ago, and we processed probably about 2,000 people, so the traffic flow right now is pretty smooth since they came in early to get their access badges.
The former main gate is now known as the Buffalo Soldier Gate. That gate's located near the west end of Sierra Vista. The Buffalo Soldier Gate is now open normal weekdays during duty hours.
Buffalo Soldier Gate used to be the main gate, will now be closing every evening at 1900 or 7 p.m. and reopening in the morning at 5 a.m.
Those who reside on Fort Huachuca will still have quick outbound access to Sierra Vista through the Wilcox Gate near the golf course when the Buffalo Soldier Gate is closed. Responsibility for the U.S. Army Intelligence Center of Excellence changed at a ceremony on Brown Parade Field on Fort Huachuca. Outgoing Command Sergeant Major Jeffrey Fairley passed a non-commissioned officer sword to the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Intelligence Center of Excellence in Fort Huachuca, Major General Scott Barrier, who then passed the sword to the incoming Command Sergeant Major Thomas Latter. General Barrier spoke about Command Sergeant Major Fairley's time as the Intelligence Center of Excellence's senior enlisted soldier.
Command Sergeant Major Fairley assumed the mantle of the Military Intelligence Corps in Fort Huachuca over 2 years ago. His actions directly impacted the soldiers, civilians, and their families, supported our warfighters, and accomplished the mission. His legacy is impressive, and his achievements will continue to make a lasting impact on the United States Army Intelligence Center of Excellence and the MI Corps' ability to support the warfighter.
He then welcomed Command Sergeant Major Latter to his new assignment.
Like Command Sergeant Major Fairley, you come here with a great deal of experience from the field, serving over 30 years as an intelligence professional. You've balanced assignments in both the technical and leadership positions in tactical, operational, and strategic intelligence organizations, and you are ready to be the MI Corps Command Sergeant Major.
The outgoing Command Sergeant Major then addressed the gathering.
While serving here at Fort Huachuca, I just would like to say thanks. Thanks to every service member, every civilian, be it DA, civilian, contractor, every person that lives in this community, be it an elected official or just someone who retired to stay here in this community. I thank you for your support, for your patience with me as serving as your MI Corps Command Sergeant Major.
And the incoming Command Sergeant Major made remarks.
In my first discussions this week with Major General Barrier, he enlightened me that Fort Huachuca has been the leading edge of America's defense since 1877. And that our goal is to see that tradition continue, not just for our tenure, but in the future, here to defend the nation and abroad. Sir, I look forward to the challenges we will face together in the coming years to support the needs of the nation, the Army, this great community that we live in here, while remaining focused on the families of our service members and dedicated civilians. We will accomplish the mission.
The service members on the field passed in review. Fort Huachuca held a ceremony to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. The event thanked and honored Vietnam veterans for their service and sacrifice, including those who were held as prisoners of war or listed as missing in action. Vietnam veterans shared their experiences with those in attendance.
And the colonel called me in and he said, we're going to send you up to Con Tien. Lieutenant Daly has to come out because he's already got 2 Purple Hearts. And I said, really? He just went up there a week ago. I said, yeah, well, somebody has to go and you're next in line. So I reported in to my platoon up there on September 10th while the siege of Con Tien was going full bore. It was incoming rockets, mortars, artillery. One of the first things I had to do was learn how to stay alive. And then after I'd done that for a few days, then I found out who the rest of the crewmen were in my platoon.
And the commander of U.S. Army Garrison Fort Huachuca made the closing remarks.
So to our panelists, gentlemen, thank you for your personal insights. Thank you for giving of your time. And most importantly, thanks for your commitment to serve our nation, our community, and you continue to serve and bless us each and every day. To our veterans and your families, thanks for sharing a few moments with us today. Thanks for what you did. Thanks for your personal courage, both overseas and when you got back.
Similar observances commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War have been held in communities across the nation. People in occupations as diverse as lawyer, firefighter, and law enforcement descended on Colonel Smith Middle School on Fort Huachuca for a career day. The students in the 6th through 8th grade had the opportunity to get their hands on the tools of the trade from a variety of career fields and hear what a typical workday's like. Staff from the legal office staged a mock trial to give students a taste of courtroom activities.
Well, we're trying our best to try to give them a little bit of a realistic experience, what it's like to do a cross-examination, and then, of course, make a closing argument to the jury or panel and have them decide whether or not the accused is guilty or innocent.
I done the lawyer thing. My client was claimed guilty. I got pretty sad about that.
Soldiers from the fort's military working dog detachment demonstrated how they work in tandem with canines.
From the presentation, we're hoping that they get a peek into interest, and maybe in a couple of years they'll look at joining the Army. They may even join this career field.
It's a good time to educate kids on what they would like to do in the future and possibly help kids just give them a push to help them figure out.
It's fun, it's all right, you know. You get to learn new things from different people, so it's pretty cool.
In the band room, an instructor at home in Illinois taught a class about music composition.
One of the things our district prides itself on is technology and bringing in people from long distances, because sometimes it's hard to get people to come down to this far south in Arizona. So if I can bring them electronically to us, it just creates a chance for more exposure to different things.
The career day gave the students information and hands-on experience so they could make good decisions as they choose their career paths. The Fort Huachuca community kicked off the holiday season with a tree lighting ceremony on Brown Parade Field.
Think back to the first Christmas at Camp Huachuca. That was December of 1878. Now, they didn't have electricity. They didn't have a lot of the stuff that we have today. They were conducting security and combat operations in this region, but they did have each other. Those were two troops of the 6th Cavalry, Bravo Troop and Mike Troop, and then they had a company of Indian Scouts. So imagine that first Christmas here at Camp Huachuca. None of these buildings were here. It was basically woods and tents. And the thing that they had that we have is a spirit of family, a spirit of community, and a love for one another, and that's pretty special.
And then the switch was flipped.
3! Whoa, look at that!
The Fort Huachuca Fire Department provided transportation for a special guest. And then those gathered took part in traditional holiday activities.
That'll do it for this edition of the Fort Report. Have a great day.